so we've got to be like this way. It's a bit annoying. Yeah, harrying. Yeah. It's a bit annoying, I don't know. I will just wait for them to join and then we'll be on. Bring them on. Harry, mate, how are you?
Too bad.
Good, good. You got the sunglasses on?
Oh, I have, mate. Ready back.
Yeah. I'll put the hat on. I'll get the hat on.
Mate, I've got the badger on today.
Ooh.
Feeling it.
Yeah. Feeling good.
Where's Tommy?
I invited him. We'll just wait for him to join and then we can start. Don't do that.
Tommy
He's on.
Here he is.
Yeah. I'm adding him in.
Get that Fanta.
Here he is. He's now joining.
Hello, how are we?
Hello. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. I'm all right, thank you, mate. I'm all right.
Yeah, good, good.
Good.
God, not looking forward to tomorrow.
Are you not?
No.
Yeah, I saw your video. You didn't seem very confident in Norwich.
No, I'm not.
No.
No, I'm not. I think we used to go into a lot of East Anglian derbies confident that we could beat Ipswich, but when you look at how they are at the moment, how good they are,
Aren't they?
they are looking good.
Yeah, they're just flying. They're flying through it this
Yeah,
season. Unfortunately,
you know, if you look at the table doesn't lie. We are where we deserve to be, which is 11th in the table. And it pains me to say it because I hate them and hate them with a passion, but they deserve to be where they are. And when you look at the team, they've got a similar squad to us, but what they've got is a manager who can get something out of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas we've got a manager who, I think he's only won 15 or 16 league games as Norwich City manager since taking over. So
yeah,
it shows where the problems are.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah. Where do you stand? Do you believe Wagner should go?
If they were going to get rid of David Wagner, they would have done it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I believe. During the international
it's too late now. I think we've got to wait until January to see what's going to happen in terms of player recruitment. If they don't get any players in, I think they'll keep Wagner till the end of the season and then make a change. I don't want to put too much pressure on Ben Napper because he's not long been in the job, but it's clear to me that significant changes are needed. And I don't mean changes in terms of the manager. You've got to go further up.
Yeah, yeah. A big sort of a rebuild of the club, really, a complete change.
Oh, it's a rebuild. It's a bit like redecorating a house. You know, if you want to redecorate a house, you have to strip it down and you have to repaint it, redecorate it. However, it's the same as a car. How the players have been performing this season, they're like a boat with no rudder, a car with no gearbox, engine, drive shaft. You've got the bodywork, the seats, the four wheels, but if you've not got the engine, drive shaft and gearbox, you're not going to go.
Exactly, yeah. To me, none of them seem like there's any passion or anything. None of them seem to care that they're playing for Norwich. It just seems that it's just like they're at just any club and they're just happy to just mill about and put
it's a bit
below average performances.
It's a bit meh, isn't it? If I'm being honest with you, I mean, if you look at us as supporters, it's a bit like that for us because they're not giving us anything. You know,
if they were giving us something, we'd support it. But
of course we would, yeah.
Yeah.
We can support it when there's nothing to show.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you look at the opening 2 home games that we had, Hull City at home and Millwall at home, there was a lot of passion. There was a lot of enthusiasm. We had I think the guy from City Elite with the drum, banging the drum, getting the atmosphere going.
Yeah.
You go to Carrow Road now on a Saturday, a Sunday, or whatever day you go, and there's nothing there. And the players aren't giving us anything. The players have got to give us something. If they give us something, then we will give something back in return. That's
exactly. Yeah.
That for me is how it works. And at the moment, I mean, you can look at the team and it just doesn't enthuse me anymore.
No.
It just doesn't enthuse me. I mean, Boya Sainz, he started against Sheffield Wednesday. I thought he was very good the other night against Sheffield Wednesday. Scored a goal, made a goal. I think he's got to be knocking on David Wagner's door and saying, start me tomorrow. Start me tomorrow. I can get you a goal. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm anticipating one thing, and that's a hiding.
Yeah. Yeah. I
would take a draw.
I think most people, to be honest, would take a draw, but I just don't see us winning. I really don't. We're not at it.
There's no fire or fight in the club for me. It just seems like, I feel like even if we lose to Ipswich, I don't think the players could care any less, to be honest. None of them, to me, feel like they're proud to be at Norwich. Like, I just feel like if we lose to Ipswich, they're not going to be bothered, in my opinion.
I'll be honest with you. I think there's going to be more goings out in January than there is coming in. If you look at Rowe and Sarah, who are probably the 2 that we are relying on, and Sainz as well. I mean, if Sainz carries on how he is, someone will look at him. I think someone compared him to Emi Buendia. I think that's a bit soon to be comparing him to Emi Buendia, but I can sort of see the comparison. You look at Rowe. Rowe excites people. He gets bums off seats. He gets me excited every time he goes forward. I'm sure he's the same with you, and I'm sure he's the same with you. He gets people excited. But when you look at the rest of the team, I mean, I looked at the lineup last night, the other night when we played Sheffield Wednesday, and I thought, what the hell is Kenny McLean doing in centre back? I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it, and I'd like someone to explain to me, why does he play there when we've got someone who is an experienced centre-back in Danny Bath?
Yeah.
And Sunderland fans rated him. Sunderland fans were devastated he was going. And when we signed Danny Bath, I thought, well, to get that praise from Sunderland fans towards Danny Bath, for him, I thought we're getting a decent defender. And he's hardly featured. He scored against Watford. I believe he played in the home game against Preston. David Bath, and I don't know what the manager's thinking is, but I know what I will do. I will dent his confidence even more, and I'll put him onto bench. And right now, he must be thinking, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I was at a team where I was playing every week, and I'm now playing, and I'm not guaranteed to play. Yeah. So I feel sorry for Danny Bath. I really do. And
the manager just doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I think the interviews he's been given lately have been very desperate.
Yeah.
I think he's looking for positives when I think he should be facing the negatives and going, look, I don't think we're quite at it. I mean, the crazy thing is we're only 3 points off the top 6.
Yeah.
And we haven't been great.
Yeah.
So, and yet we're in half decent form, despite not playing great, heading into the East Anglian Derby. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a lot needs to change, and as you
so
said,
much needs to change, Acer. And I'll be honest with you, we may have to take another year in the Championship. And here's another worst case scenario for you. What if it takes relegation to League One?
Yeah.
To sort out what's going on, and there's a lot going on. I mean, they have £100 million in debt for a start.
Yeah.
For a club that's gone up, more times than it cares to remember and has been relegated more times than it cares to remember. We should not be in debt. We've signed players who, may be good enough in a few years' time, but aren't good enough now.
Exactly.
What we should... I'm probably going off tangent here, but I'm going to go back to the Paul Lambert era when we got into the Premier League and we signed players like Anthony Pilkington, Andrew Crofts. I can't think who else we signed in that 2010-11 season and 11-12 season. But we signed players that were rejected by Premier League clubs, big Premier League clubs, because they were told they weren't good enough. Yet those players who we signed from the lower leagues, and I include Simeon Jackson in that, all had the hunger and the desire to want to play in the Premier League and actually show that, they were good enough to play in the Premier League. Some of you weren't around at the time, but I can remember the likes of Adam Drury for £500,000 from Peterborough United. That was the best £500,000 we spent on a defender, and he got to play in the Premier League with us, and he showed he could actually hack it. Ewan Roberts, another one. I could go back to Wes Hoolahan for £250,000 from Blackpool. Best £250,000 we'd ever spent, yet he got to play in the Premier League and was more than good enough to play in the Premier League. So
to me, the signings are getting more expensive, but the players are getting worse. Or if you get what I mean, they're just...
We're signing players who are, I'm going to be careful what I say here, approaching their twilight years.
Right.
And what I mean by that is Ashley Barnes is 34, Danny Bath is 34. We're signing players that, yes, are going to be good for us in terms of trying to keep us in the Championship, but we want to go that little bit further. We want to get back in the top flight. And I'm sure that's the same for you two. But at the moment, we're nowhere near that. This decline that we're undergoing...
It is sad to see, because you see it happen to so many teams, and for it to happen to Norwich it's just so upsetting to just watch it happening. It's just
well, before I started my YouTube channel, Norwich City TV, I had a season ticket in the Snake Pit for about 10 years, and it got to a point where, when you're going, but you're going to see your mates, but when you're seeing the team play, it's not enjoyable anymore. And it got to that for me, and I made the decision to give up the season ticket, and I gave it up for 3 years, and I went and watched Kings Lynn Town Football Club, and I then got my mojo back. I got the enthusiasm for football back. And then obviously we had the lockdown. That was tough to take, and we couldn't go and watch any football. I then went and started a YouTube channel in March 2020, Kings Lynn Supporters, and I was going and watching Kings Lynn Town games when I could. Living in Lenwade and getting to Kings Lynn can be a pain in the arse. It really can be. And then a mate of mine who lives in Dereham, he said to me about getting the season ticket back at Norwich, and I thought, I don't know. And that 22-23 campaign, Norwich had one of their worst campaigns in the Premier League, in the Championship, since coming down. I think we finished 13th that year. And I thought, I don't know. Well, a mate of mine, he got his season ticket back recently, and he'd been waiting months. And I thought, well, I'll give it a chance and see what happened. I rang the football club up. I told them, and they said, well, to be honest with you, Tommy, he said, if you wait until the end of the month, you may well get a season ticket. Well, 3 days after making that phone call, they gave you the offer of £50, and if you pay the £50 and you get a ticket or don't get a ticket, you get your refund back. Well, I thought, well, I'll get something back in return anyway, so I put the £50 down. And within 3 days of that phone call, I had a letter come through from the football club saying, we'd like to offer you a season ticket. And I thought, well, okay, if I don't do it now, it isn't going to happen. So I paid what they wanted. I pay it monthly because I can't afford to do it all the time. And I ended up getting one in the Lower Barclay. And like I said, the first 2 games of this season, Millwall, Hull City at home, which we won 2-1 late on, cracking drama. And then, of course, the win over Millwall, that was comfortable. Well, you've got to go, really, I think, from the Rotherham game onwards when the problems really started to come. I mean, getting beat by Rotherham was bad. Getting beat 6-2 by Plymouth
Oh,
was unacceptable.
Yeah,
And to be
unacceptable and
4-0
embarrassing.
down at half-time,
to
I have
Plymouth.
to say that.
Yeah.
It's not as worse as when we lost to Colchester that time. 7-1.
It was 7-1, and ironically, after that, we go and get their manager. We have to pay some compensation, but we go and get him, and he gets us to the championship. And then, lo and behold, he gets us to the to the Premier League. So, you know,
Yeah.
certain managers, I
Sorry
think,
about this.
you're all right, mate. Certain managers, I think, certain managers, I think, suit certain clubs. And I think Paul Lambert suited us, and I think Daniel Farker suited Norwich. But the one thing I feel sorry for Daniel Farker over was the way he was sacked unceremoniously after the win at Brentford.
Yeah,
He deserved another opportunity to be given money to see what he could do. It's going to be interesting to see if he takes Leeds to the Premier League, what he can do if he's given money.
Exactly, yeah. And I think he's proven himself again at Leeds now anyway. He's doing so well in the championship with them. And he's...
When you look at and I'm going to look at the defence here if I can, we've conceded lots of goals. We've conceded set pieces. We've conceded from open play. We've been poor defensively. It's like leaking gallons and gallons and gallons of fuel in your car. That's exactly how we've been.
Yeah.
You don't go 2-0 up against Leeds United at home and lose 3-2. You don't go 1-0 up at Sunderland and lose 3-1.
Yeah.
You don't fall apart like we did in the first 15 minutes when we conceded 2 goals at home at Blackburn. You just don't do that.
Yeah.
I can remember
lost to Watford as well from being 2-0 up.
From 2-0 up.
Yeah.
And a lot of people look at the Hwang injury. Yes, it was a factor.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be an excuse. At the end of the day, you've got to work with what you've got. I do feel sorry for David Wagner on one thing, and the injuries he's had to Barnes and Sargent. That hasn't helped him.
Yeah.
But where I don't feel sorry for him is he's had all that time to try and work a system out that suits the players, and he's not done it.
Yeah. For me, I feel like being a manager, like you should expect like your players to get injured, and you should have a solution. And I feel like that's the reason you get a good manager, is they can figure out the solutions when things aren't going well, what to do to fix it. And for me, I just don't think he's had the solution, unfortunately.
Yeah, they should have a plan B, even a plan D. Like, what about if these players get injured as well? Then we know what we're actually do. But there was no plan.
There's no plan. It's plan A, and then if plan A don't work, what you got?
Yeah, it's just,
and that's how that is at the moment. I mean, we've got Eder, and we've got Wang. Although Wang is out injured, we've got Eder. Yeah, fair play. Eder scored a goal the other day.
Yeah,
but even in the win over Bristol, and I'm gonna say it, all that those wins have done. So against QPR, Cardiff, Birmingham City, Stoke City, all of those games that we've won, apart from Hull and Millwall, in which we played well, the rest of the games that we've won have papered over the cracks, of which there is a lot. And if there's one thing that's got to be put right in Jan, I think the whole team has got to be put right. It needs a complete sort out. It just doesn't. This is going to seem controversial, but I think we've got one of the worst squads in the Championship. And what I mean by that is in terms of depth, strength in depth. We've not got any strength in depth. And if there's one thing that needs to change in January or in the next transfer window at the end of the season, is we need a Championship proven striker, either young or someone who's been here or been at other clubs in the Championship and done it and can stick the ball in the back of the net and can do it on a regular basis. It's understandable that Barnes is going to take a couple of games after his injury to come back. We've got to expect that with Sargent. But the situation that we're in, I mean, thank goodness for the start of the season that we had. Because without that, we would not be where we are in the table. We would be a lot lower. We'd be fighting relegation. I think to a degree we are fighting relegation.
Yeah.
But I think we've got enough to finish mid-table, and that's about it, really.
And that's so poor. That is so poor. We should be up, but
we should be up there. But as the old saying goes, we don't have what we call a divine right, and unfortunately, we don't have a divine right to be up where we are in the table, and that's a sad indictment of where we are at the moment as a football club.
Yeah,
everything's got to change, top to bottom.
Yeah, for me, I feel like the style of play we play as well, like against Sheffield, we got that early goal and then we just sat back and tried to defend it, and we were passing back, and it's just like
that first half. I wasn't at the game. I saw the highlights this morning before going into Durham to do my Christmas shopping, but I saw the highlights, and the first half in particular was very, very poor. I think Sheffield Wednesday had a player in Barry Bannon. Who was absolutely brilliant for Sheffield Wednesday in the first half. Played one or two decent passes, the playmaker. But Sainz's goal for me was the highlight in what was an awful first half. The second half, it had to liven up, and it did. But we still looked as though we could concede at any time. And that's what worries me heading into the East Anglian derby against Ipswich. If Ipswich score early, and I mean early, we're in for a bad afternoon.
Yeah. What do you think the score will be?
I'm going 4-0.
4-0.
I think we're going to be in for a hammer. And I mean, the last time Ipswich beat us at Portaloo Road was in 2009, April. And what happened that year? We got relegated to League One.
Yeah.
And, you know, which is, it's a sad thing to say, but that was what happened. And you've got to go back to February 2006 at Carrow Road. I was 17 at the time. So that shows sort of how old I am, really.
I was 1. I was just about to turn 1.
I was 17. And Ipswich beat us 2-1. So for a lot of your time, and for a lot of your time, you've seen Norwich win or draw. Whereas I've seen Norwich lose parts of the game on TV, but I've also seen Norwich do some cracking performances and win. And it has been tough. It's been tough for them, and they've had to take it. And unfortunately now, we've got to take it, plus the £100 million debt that we've got.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's going to be 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah.
I'm going 3-0.
Have you had a fair bit to drink?
For me, I'm like, even if we go 1-0 up, 2-0 up, I'm still not confident we'll be able to see it out. Like it's hard to get excited for it when you just know Norwich have it in them to completely bottle it and lose the game.
We should be going into this derby confident with the record that we've got. We're in decent form, but we're not playing great. And that's the worrying thing for me. We're just doing enough. And unfortunately, against some of the better teams in the Championship, of which there are, we're going to get found out.
And Ipswich are going to want to bring it to us. Of
course they are, because they haven't beaten us in a long time. And they're going to want to bring their A game to us. And it's the one game of the year where they're going to get a full attendance. There you go. So there's something in it for them. And I think this is their best opportunity to beat us right now. When we're in the pits of despair and they're riding high in the Championship.
I think as well, I think it's a way for them to prove, like, not just to us that they're better, but sort of to themselves, to be like, we've beat Norwich, like we're going to the Prem, like all that's in the past.
Well, they've got an owner who has got money. And when you've got money, you're going to throw money at it, aren't you? And I think Ipswich have the owner who is going to go and do that, whereas we've got, and again, this is no disrespect to the cook, and that's what I'm going to call her, the cook. She is a millionaire compared to the person who owns Ipswich Town.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me. She has got the little old Norwich mentality.
Yeah.
She's happy with us plodding along in the Championship.
Yeah.
And that's what she's happy with. And
Yeah.
I don't know where you two stand on the 80%, 20% whingers thing. But I guess I'm a 20% whinger. And the reason I say that is because I want this football club to be successful. I remember us in 92, 93, when we had Mike Walker as manager. We finished third in the Premier League. We got one season of European football. And I guess naively at that time, as a little boy, I thought, we're going to get that every single season. Compete for the league title, compete for European football, and be, I suppose, if you like, a super club.
Yeah.
But we're not that now.
No. What frustrates me is, like, not even that long ago, just a few years ago, we had the chances to prove ourselves in the Prem.
We have had
to be a good team. And
you've just hit the nail on the head, Asa. We have had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to be in the Premier League and establish ourselves in the Premier League, and we failed to do it. Why? Because the owner who we have is not ambitious. She's not got much money. I mean, when Stuart Webber, and I'm sort of going off tangent here, but when Stuart Webber became sporting director, he was open, he was honest, and he said what he wanted to do. And he said, expect a difficult first year. And I thought, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We don't like it, but we can take it.
Yeah.
At
least
lo and behold, we finished 14th. But there were signs of what Daniel Farke was trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So we stuck with it. And 18-19, he got us to the Premier League. The first time, 19-20, we struggled. And I thought, right, okay, Webber struggled. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. What does he go and do? He goes and gets us to the Premier League. We go and spend a bit more money, 50 million quid. Well, it's actually 30 million pounds. If you take out the money for Giannoulis and you take out the money for Gibson, who I think's been poor, by the way, and I'll talk about him in a minute. We go and get relegated, and you think he's learning a lesson, but then you hear the stories of him wanting to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and then you hear the rumours of him wanting to leave and all of that. And I just thought, mate, if you want to go, mate, just go, because it's clear you don't care about the club. I mean, to call people in the snake pit divorcees, these are people who pay a lot of money. A lot of money to go and watch their team. And when you're being called divorcees or whatever you're being called, that ain't right. And the same with Dean Smith when he was manager. He criticised the fans after the defeat to Blackburn. Well, I'm sorry, but the football we were playing under him was absolutely horrendous.
Exactly.
So I got a right to criticise.
Yeah.
What annoyed me, I mean, I don't know if you two went to the AGM. I didn't go, but I saw little extracts. But the 20% thing got me. That annoyed me quite a bit. And then I saw we were trying to push Stuart out of the club. Us, the fans, apparently, all trying to push Stuart Webber out the club. And we're now trying to do the same to David Wagner. And unfortunately, Ben Napper agrees. That was when I realised how out of touch Delia is. And that's why I want her gone. I want her gone. And as far as I'm concerned, she's got no right. For me personally, I don't know about your views on this, but I don't think she's got any right to be at Norwich anymore.
No.
For what she's done.
She's basically she thinks that she's better than everyone because she's just the owner, but she really isn't.
I'm going to make another important point, and this is what we've all got to remember. All Delia, the cook, her husband, Zoe Webber, all they are, they're just custodians. They are custodians of the football club. I'm a part-time owner of the football club. You're an owner of the football club. You, Asa, you're a owner of the football club.
Yeah.
We are the owners of the football club.
Exactly.
And right now, at this moment, we look like Cook FC 1996 instead of Norwich City 1902.
Yeah.
And that should not be like that.
No,
and unfortunately, I think there is a bit of a divide between. I think there's a little bit of a divide between the supporters because I think we should all be united in one thing.
No,
we all want Delia out.
Yeah.
But other people have ways of wanting her out. There are people at the club who don't see the bad in Delia, don't want to face the facts, can't bear to face the facts, and can't face the reality of it. And then there are people who, yes, we want to see it do well, we want to see it prosper, but at the same time, you've got to be honest and realistic about your football club. And we are miles away from being in the Premier League. And until you get the people who own the club out, you're going to be in a never-ending cycle, and it'll keep on happening over and over and over and over again.
With fans, so I don't know if you guys agree, but we have to actually do something. Like, there was a couple of protests before, but there was only a couple of people with a blimmin' bedsheet. What's that to do? We actually need to do.
We've gone now. I don't think you guys weren't around, but back in the Robert Chase days, towards the end of the Robert Chase days, there was protests galore about wanting Chase out, and it got pretty toxic around that time.
Right, yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, some of the fans are afraid that it will get like that.
Yeah.
But the cook and her husband and everyone else are making it like that.
Yeah.
It's not the fans. They're making it like that. We don't want it to be like that. In fact, at the end of the 2020-21 season, she should have made the announcement there and then, once promotion to the Premier League was confirmed, that we were stepping down.
Yeah.
We're going to be finding new owners, hopefully the right owners that are going to take Norwich City forward and hopefully establish us in the Premier League. Now, if she'd have done that, we would not be feeling how we're feeling right now.
Yeah, and I think she would have left as well as like still in Norwich's eyes as like a good person, if you a good person now around the club.
A lot of people tend to forget about Jeffrey Watling. A lot of people tend to forget about him. Jeffrey Watling, for me, was Mr. Norwich City. And when Norwich City was struggling and were looking like going under, yes, Delia came in, put in a share, as did her husband. And they came in, they joined the board, fair play. But had it not been for Jeffrey Watling saying yes to Delia and Michael, we wouldn't have a football club. So I don't credit Delia and Michael for saving the football club. I credit Jeffrey Watling.
Yeah.
Because without his intervention and without him saying yes to Delia and Michael, we wouldn't have a football club.
Yeah. So, one question I want to ask you. You sort of touched on it earlier, saying we need a striker. So I guess that might be your answer. But if you could improve one, you can only choose one area. So, midfield or attack. Which area would you improve on?
I'd say striker, but again, who's available?
Yeah,
that's the problem. Who's available?
I think defence.
Defence, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'd go with defence as well, purely on the fact that we've been in the lead in games and thrown them away, and then
just can't hold on, can we?
We've got players to shoot. It's just as well the defence are just not good enough.
Yeah, I've seen our defenders make too many mistakes this season alone. That you shouldn't be seeing in multiple seasons.
Duffy's made some mistakes, and this is a player who's played in the Premier League and should know better. God. Ben Gibson, for me, I'm sorry, but he should have been one of the first names out of the door, along with Kenny McLean. And I'm sorry to say that. Oh, Christ. But the two transfer deals this season that have really, really irked me and pissed me off, Seth Wicked. Andrew Omobamidele going to Forest for 20 million quid. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm delighted we got 20 million quid for him.
Yeah.
But he's not playing in the Forest team, is he? He's not getting a look in.
Yeah.
So surely someone at Norwich City should have been going in David Wagner's ear saying, look, let him go for 20 million, but can we have him on loan till at least January or until the end of the season?
Yeah.
Someone with a brain should have been speaking to David Wagner and saying that.
Yeah.
But the one that annoyed me was Ballymumba going to Plymouth for 1 point something million.
Yeah.
That disgusted me.
The worst one.
Yeah. I was thinking, get 10 million quid for him. Maybe you let him go. But 1 point something million at Plymouth.
Yeah, that was just.
I was looking forward to seeing him, how he would get on at centre back, but I don't think.
Yeah.
It is what it is. That's the football club we are. And unfortunately, another worst case scenario for you is if Johnny Rowe and Gabriel Sara go in January, and we can't rule that out because of the debt we're in.
Yeah.
You know, so if someone offered £20 million for Johnny Rowe or 15 million for Johnny Rowe, Norwich ain't going to turn that down, and they're not going to turn down money for Gabriel Sara either. You could probably throw Marcelinho Nunez into the mix as well, even though he hasn't lit up for Norwich at all. I have to be honest.
Yeah. He scored a few good goals, but apart from that, I can't really think of anything he's done.
It just doesn't excite me. And Adam Eder is. There's a player in Adam Eder. There is a player in there, but he's not consistent enough.
No,
he's not consistent enough, and I feel sorry for him. We all know who was responsible for giving him the 5-year contract. Stuart Webber. That was his idea.
For me, I feel a few years ago, a loan in a lower division could have done him like the world of good. But I think they wanted to keep hold of him and have him train with their team, with their facilities. But it hasn't worked out.
When you look at Adam Eder's stats, it makes for pretty desperate reading.
Yeah,
it really does.
It is
right.
Bad.
100 games or just over 100 games. He's not even scored 20 goals for Norwich. What does that tell you?
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
he can't do it.
No.
Yes, he's had a better season in terms of productivity, but there are still parts of his game, such as if you look at Grant Holt, and I am going back a few years. What was Grant Holt built for? Built for brute strength.
Yeah.
You know, he could bundle people out the way, knock people off the ball, get forward, score goals. He wasn't known for pace.
We need him tomorrow.
What's that?
We need him tomorrow.
If Grant Holt was a lot younger,
job now than most of our players could.
Yeah.
He's still got it, but I think even he would have a bit of a job.
Yeah, to carry this team.
And he's got to carry this team. And unfortunately, if Grant Holt was a lot younger, he'd be back in the team and he'd be starting up front, number 9, get us a hat trick. But we can't live on past glories against Ipswich. We've got to look at the now, and unfortunately, Ipswich are ahead of us.
Yeah,
as hard as it is to accept, they're ahead of us by a country mile. And that's why I'm not confident we can beat Ipswich. I hope I'm wrong, I really do, but I just can't see it.
Yeah, it's difficult to see an outcome where Norwich get anything from the game.
I don't think we'll be getting anything, if I'm being honest with you. We should have beaten Preston.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't play great, we should have beaten Preston with the 2 chances we had. I mean, the most disappointing thing in that game was even with the 2 chances we had, and even with the corners, we did not once work the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Didn't work him at all.
Yeah.
And even though we played better against Sheffield Wednesday, with all due respect, it was against a team second from bottom in the table.
And that game should have been over.
And it should have been even more comfortable. It should have been more comfortable than what it was.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. I when it went 1-0, I could see us losing that 2-1 because the fans were getting behind Sheffield. The players looked up for it, and I could just see Norwich losing that. But luckily, obviously, they didn't.
But again, I mean, certainly, I don't know about the interview David Wagner had with them after the Sheffield Wednesday game. But when you look at the last few interviews now, it has been desperate. And you do wonder whether he is heading towards going out the door. I mean, me personally, I would sack him, but there would be no point in sacking him. And plus, if we were to sack David Wagner, who's going to come in?
Exactly.
Is Neil Warnock going to come in and do a firefighting mission? No, he's not going to want to do it. No. Paul Heckingbottom being sacked by Sheffield United, he would probably have a point to prove. I mean, a lot of people were talking.
We've lost him. Let me add him back.
Where's he gone?
Hello?
Hello. I don't know what happened there. A bit of a mad moment there. I can see there's plenty of people. I can see there's plenty of people who know me who are watching. I think he knows you as well, does he? Does the name Bobby Salazar ring a bell?
Yeah, Bobby.
That's it, Bobby. Yeah, he's watching out in lovely sunny Honey. Great seaside town. I hope Bobby's all right. Anyway, in terms of the manager, I think Bobby Salazar's just said bring Ian Culverhouse in. I mean, I credit Ian Culverhouse for the back-to-back promotions along with Paul Lambert, but I don't think he would want to come to Norwich in the situation that it's in.
I feel that's the way with a lot of managers. They'll see the decline Norwich is going, and they won't want to have their name associated with that because it's looking like mission impossible to get them back to where they used to be at this current time.
I think with what we've got at the moment in terms of current owners, in terms of the debt, in terms of finances and everything, I think we're in for quite a few years in the Championship.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and it pains me to say it, I actually see it getting worse before it gets better. I mean, it's just, just look at the swathes of empty seats at Carrow Road. What's that telling you? Exactly. It's telling you that people have had enough.
Yeah.
And that's what it's telling me. And when you go to the games at Carrow Road, you want to go there with a little bit of hope that the team are going to try, that the team are going to produce a bit of... Ultimately, that's all we're asking for as football fans.
Exactly.
We're asking for effort, desire, passion. And if you give all of those things, even if we lose, I'm not going to go, they didn't play bad. Oh, they gave us everything. They were just that little bit better on the day. But they're not. And even though they've been winning games and are decent... Even though they're winning games, it's not great. It's not enjoyable.
Yeah, I can't even see what we're trying to do with the style of play. There's no long-term plan there.
If there's one criticism of Wagner ball, and I think that's what I'll call it, Wagner ball, we keep mucking about at the back with the ball.
Yeah.
I don't like it. The job of a defender should be very simple. Stop the cross coming in, help your goalkeeper out, and whenever you get an opportunity to boot the ball, boot the fucker clear and let the midfielders and the strikers do the playing. Let the midfielders do the creating and let the strikers do what they do best, and that is stick the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Bobby's just asked a very good question. Who do you put either the full amount of the fault onto? It's not Daniel Wagner, it's David Wagner, Bobby. The players or Delia Smith? Oh dear.
I'd have to go
in terms of...
I would.
In terms of the formation, in terms of how we're playing, David Wagner.
Yeah.
In terms of the players in terms of the players trying to follow the instructions and not really listening, I blame the players for that. Yeah. In terms of the finances, in terms of the decision making, and I mean the decision making in terms of the finances of the club, I blame the cook. But you could also blame the husband, and you could also blame Stuart Webber and his wife Zoe. Ben Napper has got a lot to do. I thought that this AGM meeting would have been a perfect opportunity for Ben Napper to not have Delia. And let me go over what I think Ben Napper should have done. Some will be a little bit left field, and some will be what he should have done. I think the first thing he should have done was gone and confronted Delia and Michael about the finances. Why are we this amount of money in debt? What are you going to do to get us out of it? That sort of thing. I think he should have held an AGM meeting, probably not at Carrow Road, but maybe somewhere a little bit different.
Yeah.
And the third thing is do not have Delia and Michael there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been...
allow them to say what they really want to say.
Yeah.
Without the worry of the big boss breathing down their neck sort of thing, you know?
I feel sorry. I feel sorry, and I'm going to be honest here, because I've got a friend who lives in Kings Lynn, lives near Kings Lynn, Paul Clark. He is a Norwich fan. He's been a Norwich fan for years. I believe his granddad or father went to an AGM meeting, and you know how long it takes to get from Kings Lynn to Norwich. It can take the best part of an hour with traffic and everything. He went to that meeting, and he had to listen to 60 minutes. 60 minutes. That was an hour-long meeting. Now, most clubs, when they have an AGM meeting, they take about 2 or 3 hours, have a mingle with the fans, autographs, photographs, see the shirts, and be on their way.
Yeah.
This lasted 60 minutes. They had to listen to 60 minutes of absolute crap coming out of her mouth. And quite frankly, that was what it was, right? And
to then I know Paul Clark.
Yeah, and for them to go... So, and I think a lot of them were thinking, well, we shouldn't really have gone to that because we knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on at the minute. I think there's a mixture of anger, and another word is apathy. I don't like what's going on.
Yeah.
So there's the apathy side of it, but I'm also angry because we've had numerous opportunities to be in the Premier League, establish ourselves in the top flight, and we haven't done it. And when you look at the likes of Brentford, when you look at the likes of Bournemouth, when you look at the likes of, if we go back, Stoke had 10 years in the top flight, Swansea had 7 years in the top flight, Charlton Athletic, I think, had 7 years in the top flight, Blackburn, they won the Premier League in 1995. Leicester City, who come down last season, they won the title in 2016.
Yeah.
We have had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to establish ourselves in the Premier League, and we haven't done it. And whose fault is that? Them, the people up top.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's just not good enough.
It isn't. Just something needs to change. As we've said, something just needs to change. But realistically and unfortunately, I can't see it happening, really. I just can see, as you said, I feel it's going to have to take something dramatic, like a relegation, to happen before they. And
I can remember that day we got relegated in 2009. I mean, it was one of the worst days ever. We got relegated although we didn't officially get relegated, the result against Ipswich unofficially relegated us. The defeat to Reading, that sort of set it in stone, and then the defeat to Charlton pushed us there. What I didn't realise is that there was going to be another low moment at the start of the opening day of the 09-10 season when we lost 7-1 to Colchester, when 2 Norwich fans stormed the pitch. Yeah. And I know that there were some people who were thinking, oh God, how bad is it going to get? Yeah. I thought, one off.
Yeah.
And I think we need, and I think at the time, I hated what I saw. I hated it.
Yeah.
But that proved a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
And it did, because it then got us back to the Premier League. And I hate to say it, but I think I can see something similar again.
Yeah.
Unless something changes.
Going that way.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
I just don't know what more can be done.
Yeah, I know. The fans have voiced their opinions. The board have obviously said what they think, and I haven't seen a divide like this for a long time. where the board and club, where the board and fans have just complete difference in what's going on. The board just seem blinded.
If you want me to use the perfect analogy, and I will use the perfect analogy, you've only got to look at Newcastle United.
Yeah.
Right. Look at the owner they had until now.
Yeah.
They had Mike Ashley for 14 years. They were playing turgid, awful football, and had got relegated twice under him. They had to put up with him for 14 years.
Yeah.
We've had Delia for nearly 30 years, and it's only now that we're starting to get fed up with her. In fact, for a lot of us, we've probably been fed up with Delia for a number of years and have been desperate for a change.
Yeah.
Well, I think something's got to be done, but there's a divide amongst the fans. There shouldn't be. We should all want the same thing, and we should be going to games, seeing Norwich put on a good performance and win the game, go and have a few drinks, go home,
and be happy.
Happy days. But it's not that. We're waking up on a Saturday morning, you know, ahead of kickoff, and we're going, oh fucking hell, we got to go to a Carrow Road game, and that shouldn't be like that. But it is, because the players have not produced. They've not produced the performances that we know they can give, and they're capable of it, but they're choosing not to do it.
Exactly.
And I think if Sarah and Rowe go in January, and we can't rule that out, if they go, you might as well write the season off.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at the moment with this team.
Though, isn't it? But you can definitely see that something terrible is going to happen.
Yeah.
Something's got. We keep saying it, but something has to improve.
Yeah. It has to. It has to improve.
All right, then. I'm going to have to go because my phone's on 2% on my TV.
Oh dear.
But thank you for doing the stream with us.
No worries, mate. More than welcome. Tune in to subscribe now to Norwich City TV. 85 subscribers. I want to get it to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. So feel free to subscribe, mate. And the same to you.
Yeah,
of course.
More than welcome.
Go